Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome or welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Soap Floor. I'm your host, Jess, still viewing and reviewing the soapiest, sedgiest primetime storylines of 1985. We are back on the West Coast doing the absolute most. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids it's time to play outside or outside. Tell babe no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 35 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, cool, quiet, or kicked out are the only options you got, baby. So choose wisely because we are watching our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Soap Floor. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Soap Floor. I hope you've been well. Hope you've had some much-needed time off. You've recuperated and you're doing what you need to do. Oh, I gotta tell you, this week has really had your girl in a headlock for just dumb reasons. You ever had a week, maybe at work or around the house, where you do a lot of toiling, but nothing really comes of it? Yeah, this week that's been my problem, and technology is behind it. Dumb stuff. I've spent the better part of 2 days with the IT department because I don't even know what happened. Emails just didn't happen. Apparently, they've been locked in limbo for the last 2 to 3 weeks. Completely oblivious. I had no idea. Just different levels of just dumb stuff. Then you ever forget your password and you go to reset the password and they're like, this is too close to the previous password. Then let me in. Who else wants to tap in and do this work? You know it's me. Who else would be trying this hard? None of this stuff is important enough for anyone else to care about. Just little dumb stuff like that. And it made me realize something. You stay with me. That is the differentiating characteristic, scientifically at least, allegedly, between millennials and other groups before us. We are fully immersed in technology from a young age. And it made me realize I've lived in a high-tech world my entire life, but I think I long for the good old days where you just had a typewriter, or maybe you hand wrote a couple of things and sent them in the mail, and maybe you were worried about it getting lost in the mail. There's something a little bit easier to swallow about a letter getting lost in transit than it is this word that worked 2 weeks ago suddenly doesn't work today. Really pisses me off. Because the reality is, I am performing a job, which is some sort of work, but is it the work I'm meant to do in this world? Maybe a little, maybe not. I feel like the characters on Falcon Crest are going through that same sort of struggle. Now, mind you, technology is relative. The first wheel that was ever invented was high tech. This episode explores the difference between high tech and low tech, using that to your advantage. And what's the difference between the work you do to receive money and the work you do to receive pleasure? If you're doing it right, it's one and the same. Go ahead and pour yourself up something bubbly and bright. I'm definitely going to have to put something with a little more bass in my drink today because if I get asked one more time to do a second authentication, I'm going to snap something in half. Enjoy your beverage and your charcuterie board, hopefully, as we watch Season 5, Episode 9 of Falcon Crest, The Naked Truth. Okay, so picture this. It's 1986. You are starting to enjoy this part of your life that you've been waiting on for years. I'm talking decades. You've been waiting for the moment where you would be on top for the better part of 50 years. You are a hair's breadth away from being the complete and total sole owner of the property in which you have poured your blood, sweat, and tears into forever, only to have your magnificent skill set held against you by way of a man who's been obsessed with you since y'all were 16 years old. At the top of the show, we find Angela, the artist formerly known as the Perm Rod Goddess, and her brand new flat iron coif. It's either a flat iron or it's a just for me kitty perm. I can't really tell. I'm actually leaning more towards a perm because of the sheen. But the artist formerly known as the Perm Rod Goddess is arm in arm to her beloved, and I say that in heavy quotations, brand new fiance, Peter Stravos. Peter is a bridezilla. Pardon me, Peter is a groomzilla. This man is walking around in all white. He's talking about their wedding. Angela, why don't we get married in London and Paris and so and this? She's not trying to have that because, honest to God, she ain't really feeling Peter like that. The only reason she agreed to be blackmailed by him is because he owns 66.6% of the land that she has worked her entire life for. He's egging her on. Sweetheart, we can get married here. Why don't we get married in neutral territory? Dude, since when is Paris and Rome neutral territory? Angela says, no, honey. We're going to get married here in the valley. It's perfectly quiet. It's quaint. I want very few people there, like maybe zero, not even a priest, not even a clergyman, nobody from the county courthouse, nobody with any sort of ordination. Ordainings. Am I saying that right? Ordination? No one who is ordained to perform any sort of marriage ceremony should be there. Peter wants to get married sooner rather than later. Angela wants a very long engagement. He's trying to get married within the next month. She wants to get married 2 weeks after hell freezes over, just so she can make sure nobody's going to smell like brimstone and fire and all that. Is one of them things. He wants a high-key wedding with noblemen and fancy people. She wants it to be practically invisible, if you catch what I'm putting down. In order to sway him once again, which is becoming more and more difficult as time goes by, she says, don't worry about the wedding. Let's talk about our engagement party, which is coming up, which sets the stage for the rest of the show. We will, of course, talk about the bit players, but we got to get through this first little breakfast, and then I'm going to tear off because we got a lot to talk about today. Just when Angela gets Peter off her back, all of a sudden they are interrupted by a just bonk, bonk. It's that country bumpkin and Emma tearing up Angela's perfectly paved driveway in a semi. Emma comes leaping out of the side of this truck, and I'm talking at least 8 feet. She sticks the landing, though, in them kitten heels and says, hey, what's something weird? What's going on, guys? You know how y'all know how Emma is. Emma's back to being whimsical. I think she's off the meds. Plus, she's having a lot of vehicular sex lately, so she's trying to be, she's more agile. She's a little more loosey-goosey. Angela's trying her best to be cute. Hello. Hi. Emma and her new booski are fresh off the road from Fresno. Emma is so open for this guy. She's like, oh my God, it was so beautiful. The land was flat, hot and dry. We had a wonderful time. Angela asked him how his turnips were, and he's like, I was delivering cabbage, actually, and it was wonderful, Mrs. Channing. He's very soldier boy, but not fully. So Emma says she's going to go inside and tell Lance all about her midnight rendezvous with this kid because he was supposed to bring her back last night. He brings her back at the top of the morning. She invites Angela to come ear hustle if she wants all the details. And Angela is just trifling enough to be like, you know what? I do. I want to hear all about this. So I'm thinking she may not like what she sees, as in this bumpkin of a guy, the stud, if you will, courting and turning out, for lack of a better term, her whimsical little daughter. But that doesn't mean she don't want to hear about it. She reads Harlequin novels just like the next woman. When they go in the house, Peter Stravos is staring longingly at, I keep forgetting this kid's name. And before we go any further, y'all, you know how I am. There's just something about the kid's face that is throwing me off. I am talking about Emma's new boyfriend, whose name escapes me. I don't care to look it up at the moment. I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, he's odd looking to me. And let me be very clear. I'm not someone who's ever thought someone is ugly. I don't really feel like people are ugly. I think there's just super gorgeous people, and there's a contrast between them and a lot of the normals. But I'm like, there's something about this kid's face that is just, I can't quite figure out what is bugging me about it. Because it's not that he's not very handsome. He is handsome. But he's also not like, I'm not sure you would do a double take. Only I would, because there's something just so familiar about him. Like, what is it? It's almost as if he's otherworldly. I thought, is it because like his lips? Is it the spray tan they're giving him? No, that's not it. Is it his nose? Is his nose broken or funny? No. And I love a weird nose. Not that. Eyes are a little different. Kind of, and not. It's just something ain't right, and I can't figure it out. So one day I'm walking in my living room, and I hear Transformers playing. Not the Michael Bay Transformers, but the cartoon from the 80s. It's on one of the like Roku channels. My Dog Periwinkle by Dahlia Aurora, Queen Leapathon. is enjoying her time watching Transformers. It's the Transformers where Optimus Prime is always put in a headlock and kidnapped. He has absolutely no survival skills. But my dog, Periwinkle Aurora Vidalia, is watching Transformers. And I'm thinking, God, like this, there's got to be something better. She needs to be watching something else. And it hits me. Oh my God, I know exactly what she needs to watch. And I know exactly why this kid is giving me the willies. This kid looks like Captain Planet. For all of you 90s kids, 80s babies, 90s kids know the distinction. You remember when Captain Planet came out. He is a reason that none of us can throw away any of our charging cords. I have at least 200 charging cords to God only knows what. It's a reason I shred my paper. It's a reason I used to cut the plastic around the Coke cans so that the little ducks in the river wouldn't get caught in them and they didn't have to be bathed with Dawn dish soap after the fact. I'm sure I'm mixing up natural disasters and oil spills, but you get my drift. He taught us all how to be better people. But he was like blue with the mullet. This kid looks exactly like Captain Planet, but a real person, which also explains why him and Emma are running around planting turnips and beets and whatnot, replenishing the earth's soils and what have you. Anyway, back to them, him and Peter. Peter looking at this kid's truck, basically saying, he remembers when he was a broke boy too, and his very first boat. It was amazing. And all he wanted was to get more boats. But then he got more boats. And he noticed he just never had that same feeling back. All of those old boats sucked and they all stank all to be damned. And all he wanted was that first boat again. And he says to the kid, I've never been more happy than I was on that first boat. Staring longingly at him. I feel like this is a poignant, probably important message based on the way it was delivered. The scene is a little bit difficult to watch because this kid, Captain Planet, he stares at him and then he kind of zones out and remembers to smile. His acting ain't the best, okay? His acting ain't the best. But you can just tell that Captain Planet's trying to muster up enough dams to give about what Peter is saying. I don't know what he's probably, I don't know. It's probably a fire in Topanga he needs to get to. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's get to this breakfast so we can get to the rest of the stories. Lance and Apollonia are staying at the mansion or staying at Falcon Crest because Apollonia lives in a sketchy neighborhood where beatboxers and breakdancers break into your home and they want to battle rap you and battle dance you all hours of the night in loud, clangy leather garb. So they're staying at Falcon Crest. Apollonia has to stay in the guest house and Lance has to stay in the main house lest they get together and fornicate. Just because Angela let her guard down for 5 to 15 minutes to make sure her grandson is safe does not mean that she approves of him, her, or anything they got going on together. Particularly and specifically, this little music career she calls herself having. So while at breakfast, Apollonia, Emma, Lance, and Angela are trying to enjoy themselves best they can. Apollonia looks like a cosmic Betty Rubble. I'm not really sure what's with the big Wilma Flintstone metallic pearls and the big bouffant hair or whatever. But she's just trying to fit in, get in where she fits in. She's not making any noise. She's not making any sudden movements. Lance, on the other hand, is going to have a good time regardless at this point because now that he has a radio station in his name, he is absolutely, completely, 100% free and clear from the strings that Angela would be pulling otherwise. He didn't really have a whole lot to lose at this point. He makes a snarky little comment. Grandmother, you are now Angela Gioberti Channing Erickson Stravos. You've got all of Europe and half of Asia in that name now. She's like, oh, that's funny. You know what else? You forgot Sumi, Miss Sumi. Why don't you open that letter? Chow Li brings a letter and it is once again a piece of paper to serve him. She is going to sue the pants off of he and Richard. Number one, just for pissing her off. First off, you shouldn't be upsetting me in my delicate situation. Number two, she feels like the trade that they did, the radio station for the newspaper, was illegal in some way, mostly because, like I said, it pisses her off. So Lance barely bats an eye. Okay, cool, I'm going to be sued. That's fantastic. Let's get to the bit players, shall we? Bad girl Melly Mel is also having breakfast. Only she's having it sandwiched between two people she should be comfortable around, but she doesn't seem to be that comfortable around. Pastor Panty Droppers has stopped by to deliver his own piece of mail to she and Cole. Cole is having breakfast as well. Pastor Panty Dropper says, great news. Melissa, your marriage to Lance has been completely annulled. So now you and Cole can get married in the church and the church will bless your union. She sips her tea quietly as Cole's like, oh, that's great. That's great news. Let me go in the house and check on something. Pastor Panty Dropper says, Melissa, you don't seem excited about this. She almost says to him, how could you do this to me? Why would you even bring this up over here? You know I don't want to be married to Cole anymore. I think Father Christopher's problem is that not only is he an orphan, he's also a priest. So he's never grown up in a place where he could, he grew up in a home where he had to share everything with other people. And then now he's in a profession where you have to be open to people no matter what. A priest can't very well be like, you know what, you're a little pushy and a little weird and uncomfortable. I can't really talk to you anymore. He can't. He is obligated to indulge people all the time. So I don't think he was flaunting his body or whatever in front of her. But also, Father Christopher, what did you think she was going to say? She's confessed all of her deep, dark sins to you, baby. Did any of that lead you to believe that she was going to take this well? No. I feel like this should have been a phone call, or I feel like this should have been a letter. She says, I can't really be happy. I can't. I'm sorry. You know how I feel about Cole, and you know how I feel about you. He stands up like he's offended. Melissa, marry your man and be happy. But he's saying it as he gently touches her arm. Now, I am starting to believe. I think he's breaking down a little bit. And I love it. I love that this is a slow burn. But also, I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Okay, who's up next? Richard. I can't talk about Richard without talking about Lance. I also forgot that Richard is Lance's uncle. I have forgotten that for the past 2 seasons, I believe. So, Richard is back at the Globe. Lance has a radio station. Part of the problem at the radio station is that it had pretty much the same format as the newspaper for a very long time, meaning its audience doesn't tune in to listen to music, they tune in to listen to the news. So, if you think about it that way, this trade is going to benefit Richard, at least initially. It's going to benefit him more because his audience is going to have to go somewhere. So they're not going to get, it's not the exact same sort of media, but they still need the news. And I mean, where do you go? In 1986, technology does not allow you to go online and read the paper. So they're going to have to spend money out of their wallet to dive into this news. Lance, on the other hand, is not completely out here. He's not completely lost, although he's going to lose the audience that he has in the meantime, but he's going to gain a whole new audience because he's playing nothing but rock music. The transition, though, is less than subtle. They don't even do it like at midnight. You know what I'm saying? You would think so-and-so Walter Cronkite or Bryant Gumbel or somebody could be like, this is Bryant Gumbel signing out at 11:58 p.m. Welcome to the new rock and roll station. No. What happens is at noon, at high noon, they're going to switch from talk radio to hard rock, which is just going to be any further apart. People are calling up to the radio station to let everyone know how pissed off they are. This is no longer going to be talk radio. This jockey or reporter, I guess he would be, is like, yeah, you and me, both you, me, and my landlord upset, but we're going to do what we're going to do. I'll catch y'all on another radio station. I'll holler at your boy. Bye-bye. He hangs up. Rock and roll Richie jumps on. Apollonia is looking for a hot new man in red light. And Apollonia come on the radio. She's the first one. Not only are they switching formats, not only are they going to drop that hard rock, they're going to give away 1,000 doll hairs every hour on the hour for the next week or something like that. So flash over to Richard, who's listening to the radio station, cackling and rubbing his feet together, laughing with Jordan like, oh my God, Lance is finna go so broke in behind a woman. Jordan, aka not Marla Maples, says there are far more embarrassing things to go broke over than love. Remember how I said that Angela was pissed off, so she is going to sue Lance and Richard? Jordan is trying to give Richard a quick little briefing before they need to appear in court tomorrow. This is what we're going to do. I don't really feel like she has a case, but X, Y, or Z could happen, and we need to be prepared. So she's being a professional woman. Richard says, hey, do you know I've hired a bevy of PIs to follow you around? She's like, yes, Richard, I know. I'm so surprised you would waste your money on something like that. So anyways, the legality of the contracts that we put together with Lance are solid. However, there may be a little stipulation. He interrupts her again. Oh, I'm sorry, lawyer later. What my PI's people are telling me is that you're boring. Like all you do is help battered women and like these teenage girls who are runaways. You don't party. You don't do no booger sugar. You don't shake it at the disco. You don't do nothing. Why not? She's starting to get uncomfortable, but she's still a professional. To me, this feels like the two-factor authentication. He tells her once, he tells her twice. He thinks that's going to open the door and, quite frankly, her legs. Richard is weird. Riddle me this, riddle me that. No. Richard me this, Richard me that. Why must all of your assistants lay flat on their backs? Why is he always trying to bed the woman closest to him? It is bizarre. Not Marla Maples is not having it. He starts to stand up and he's trying to caress her and tell her how beautiful she is. He puts his hand on her and she snaps. She's like, let me remind you one time that my time is very, very expensive. Don't make me use my very expensive time to sue your ass. If you ever touch me again, I will file sexual harassment on you. And if you think I'm thorough on your side of the court, wait till I'm on the opposite side. You don't want none. You don't want the smoke. She sashays out in her pink zebra outfit, catches her breath outside the door. So it's very clear that she's had some sort of maybe attack, or maybe people aren't taking her serious because she's beautiful and a lawyer. But Richard doesn't seem to understand why that's an issue. And it's because Richard receives a lot of privilege. I know people don't love that word. I think a lot of people hear it and think it means that you're getting a freebie. The things that you work for aren't earned because you just have the privilege of having them. That's not really what this means. Richard is oblivious to a lot. Now, he has the obvious privilege. He is very wealthy. He had a wealthy father, whether that was his blood father or not. He has always been in a position of power. So he is very used to telling people what he wants and making sure that they make that happen. That is what it is. What he doesn't clock really, I don't think, is that he is a tall, dark, and handsome man who happens to be wealthy. If he looked like Quasimodo or even Joe Modo from around the way, and he said that same thing, he would have been slapped across his face so many times, he would never even utter the words. He would have been corrected enough. He would be nervous in some capacity, but he just doesn't get it. Think about some of the other things Richard does. Richard is a full-grown man who has tummy time in his office playing with toy soldiers. That's not hyperbole. He is literally a full-grown man who either squats down on his knees at his desk, has his shoulders up to his earlobes, and he's playing with toy soldiers, or he's on his stomach playing with toys in the middle of the workday in a three-piece suit with a crisp, ice-cold glass of milk. What man, besides a tall, very good-looking, very, very wealthy man in power, could get away with that? Do you know how many times he would have been exposed? How the National Enquirer would have had all of his deepest, darkest secrets had he been a little bit unattractive? He doesn't get that. The thing that works for Richard is the exact thing that is a hindrance to Jordan. She's just as wealthy. She comes from just as wealthy of a pedigree. She's stunning. She's a beautiful woman. But all those things are held against her in the workplace. His privilege is her detriment. But she more than makes up for that in her lawyering abilities, and she let him know, touch me again, I'm going to make sure you don't see none of this. Moving on. Okay, so eventually Richard snaps out of it, and he finds a way to apologize or to be a little more sensible. And he's like, I didn't really mean anything by it. I'm sorry that I've been like hiring people. I just need to make sure I can trust you. She explained okay, I know who you are. I know how you operate. I'm not really tripping, but just don't let it happen again, okay? Meanwhile, Cassandra Wilder is still trying to get back with Richard. He is still playing coy, though. He pretended like he didn't know where the flowers came from last time. This time, Cassandra has set up a secret lunch, or so she thinks is a secret. Richard is well aware of it. So when he hobbles into his office on his cane, he's all like, oh my God, what are you doing here? I just wanted to have lunch with you. Seems like they have a little bit more than lunch. He's stringing her along, and I really think he should give her a chance because she really didn't know. She was only following her mother's demented requests. And he had to do the same. He had a Nazi father. Remember, he threw his daddy over the side of a bridge into no water. I remember that very vividly because I thought, dang, that's going to be so messy to clean up. Also, side note, speaking of messy and limping in with a cane, why is he still limping? Maggie got blued up too, and she had a whole surgery. She lost her mind. She still has kind of scrambled egg brains, but she seems to be fine. Nary a scratch on her flawless face, but he's still limping everywhere. I think Richard is what the old people would call, he's playing possum. Ain't nothing wrong with Richard. Speaking of Cassandra, though, Cassandra's office and Lance's office at the radio station look an awful lot alike. I'm wondering if there was a hiccup in shooting one day and they're just like, to hell with it, we're going to shoot Lance's scene in this office. We ain't got time to set up the other place. Lance and Apollonia are chilling in their office when suddenly yet another tall blonde dude who looks like Logan Paul comes in, but he's dressed like Bruno Mars. Got his chest out. He got on the sunshades. He is clearly on that booger sugar. I think his name is Walker. Let's call him Walker until I can remember his government name. Walker comes in and Apollonia's like, oh my God. They're hugging and hi boo, hi this. Walker does not really acknowledge Lance. Lance is like, hey, I'm Lance Channing, or whatever the hell my name is. I'm Lance. I do kickboxing. Walker's like, yeah, that's cool. That's wonderful. Apollonia, baby girl, when we go out to eat? Do you know this heifer turns and gets her purse? Nary an explanation. She grabs her tings and her and Walker bounce. So now Lance is sitting there looking stupid at this rock station playing her less than stellar music. It's fine. It's not my type of music, but I mean, it's fine, I guess. Actually, I'm not going to judge it because I still don't really love the 80s. I still don't love a lot of the music. So you tell me if it's good. You can reach out to me via the show notes. There's a link where you can send a text and say, Jet, this is the jam, or not so much. You can send a voice note of you singing, which I would love to hear, or letting me know what your favorite rock tune is from the 80s, or you can reach out to me the old-fashioned way via email at soaplorepodcast.com. That's soaplorepodcast at gmail.com. So it would seem that Lance and Richard have love interest who may or may not be interesting or interested in them. Seems like Jordan is interested in the Manimal, which we need to give it up already. Manimal ain't got no game. He's another one. He's got a beautiful face, but I don't think he understands how to really use it. Okay, we got to get to the main event because this had me cackling. Part of the magic of Falcon Crest is that it's a slight spin on the same old drama. It is a family at odds with each other. Only on Falcon Crest, it's not so much that you don't know that your family member is trying to screw you over. It's that you just don't know how deep they're going to screw you over. This is the mid-80s. Technology is readily available. However, the family on this show chooses to do things the analog way a lot of times. Angela Channing has a job to do. She is a vineyardist. She runs Falcon Crest. Even if a man who was hypnotized by her hips back in the day wants to maybe or maybe not give it back to her. She still has a business to run, but that doesn't mean that is her sole job. It is her job to run this business. It is also her job to keep people in check. So she has to put these checks and balances in place to make sure everybody stays at the perfect, uncomfortable temperature. Her nephew, Chase, also has a job. He also works at a vineyard. He's trying to get one up off the ground, but he's also a councilman for the city of Tuscany Valley, or the valley at large, the county. I don't know. He's on some sort of council, so he has a job to do. However, on this episode, we are expanding on the traps he is trying to set going forward. Normally, it'd be real easy to paint Chase as a good guy, just trying to do the right thing and Angela as a bad guy, but technically they're both doing the same thing. Chase wants to make sure that his new vineyard doesn't end up underwater. He feels like he works with a dirtbag scumbag. So he feels like if you're already a dirtbag scumbag, let me just go ahead and set you up to do dirtbag scumbaggy things. It's a win-win, and it's not at all entrapment. Only I kind of think it is. So I'm going to have to bounce back and forth between Chase and Angela using low tech and high tech to get the results that they want. We're going to start back off with Angela. So now not only does she have to worry about this wedding, there is a wedding date. Peter is all up and through her house, breathing down her neck, wearing white, talking about this godforsaken union. So much so it's starting to make her head spin. So when the manimal brings in a prenup and Emma starts talking about marrying Captain Planet, she's like, both of y'all get the hell out of my office. I just need a moment to think. Like any good supervillain, she's not going to go to yoga. She's not going to go stretch. I mean, maybe she will, maybe she won't. She'll probably hit up the opera a little later so that 60% of the wealth in the county can see her stunt in her brand new outfit. But before that, a chick's got to eat. She already showed up to breakfast in neon yellow. So she tones it down a bit for lunch. She's been wearing like this black blouse with a it reminds me of one of those kitty rugs. If you've ever been to like a kid's nursery where it's a rug where it has a road and it has this faux painting of the town. It looks like she has a driveway running up and down her body. She goes to lunch with sweet little old Robin. She's noticed Robin round the property here and there. Now, she knows there's something a little funny about Robin. Robin's about to have a baby, but don't nobody know who the daddy is. Angela Gioberti Channing Erickson Stravos, soon to be, has been around the block more times than a little bit. She already knows who that baby daddy is, but she needs to collect more evidence. So what does she do? She invites sweet little old Robin to lunch. Sweet little old Robin shows up good and pregnant, fresh off a turnip truck. She is a bumpkin in the best sense of the world. She thinks that she is eating at the Taj Mahal. Oh my God, salad forks, chilled glasses, crystal. Not the Carrington crystal, crystal the glass. So Angela pretends to be her friend. I so admire you, Robin, being in this delicate situation and still choosing life. You are a wonderful example to the youth of America. Robin's like, thank you. This is so cool. I haven't even got to hang out very much here. I'm so new to the valley. Angela lays a foundation. I know, dear, you must be so lonely. Listen, you don't have to tell Melissa about you and I becoming friends because I know you already know how she get. So why don't you and I just keep this our little secret? But speaking of secrets, the whole town is trying to figure out who your baby daddy is. Is he in the picture? It just breaks my heart that you're running around doing this by yourself. Robin is uncomfortable. Like, dang, the whole town is talking about me. They sure are yappity yappy. But yeah, me and my baby daddy, we stay in touch. He stays very much in touch with me. Angela's like, Well, I also had heard that my nephew's son, what's his name? My great nephew has stepped in to help you out. I think that is so wonderful of Cole to be a good man. She's like, yeah, he's a good man, blah, blah. So Angela tells her, listen, if you're not doing anything in a couple of days, I'm throwing a killer garden party. It is my engagement. I'd love it if you and your bastard baby bump can show up. You'll have a great time. I'll make sure there's like pregnancy punch, all kind of things. Robin is elated. She's like, absolutely. I get to hobnob with rich people. Please sign me up. For those of you who've been watching Falcon Crest for a while, we know if Angela Channing throws a garden party, don't show up. That's all she's going to do is blow up somebody's spot. Last season, she blew up Maggie's spot, telling the whole world and God and everybody that Maggie's adoptive daddy was her adoptive daddy when Maggie didn't even know she was adopted. She's on that kind of time. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, speaking of Maggie and Chase are hosting Terry and the town sheriff, who I guess now are a couple. They're hosting them for dinner. I don't know why. I think I've mentioned this once before. I just kind of forgot about it. Chase and Maggie are now bougie enough to have a house staff. Like, how you gonna have a 1,000 square foot home and a staff? Girl, quit playing. But also, I'm tired of watching Maggie make those She's always got a pot of water with vegetables tossed in it like it's a fresh meal. Nobody wants that, Maggie. Plus, she's still got scrambled egg brains. She needs a little more time for that to harden up before she can get back to who she was. Anyway, the conversation quickly turns to bringing down the other councilman. Costello, I think is his name. Chase got a work enemy. He wants to bring him down. He wants to entrap him into doing do dirt things because he's a scumbag type guy. And they have enlisted Terry, the former hooker with the heart of gold, to help this man slip into some temptation. Only it didn't work last episode. He flat out said no. Terry's not worried. She's like, man, I ain't even put it in first gear yet. I was just teasing him, really. I ain't even turned it up. I hadn't even really got to where I could go. So I promise you, once I turn up the charm, this man is going to do exactly what I want him to do. Maggie is appalled. Terry, you're not a vice squad officer, she says. Like this is 1940s LA. You're not a part of the gangster squad. You're simply a hooker with a heart of gold dressed in gold today. Why are you so shiny, darling? This is a casual dinner. Terry says, Maggie, when you can eat solid foods, you can talk to me. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. Chase is like, yeah, let her, if the hoe wants to hoe, let her hoe. We need a hooker for this. Let her do it. They decide that they're going to set up yet another meeting. This is where we get to see Terry. Every episode, I talk about how she needs to join Girl Scouts or she needs some sort of female mentorship in her life. Yes, that may be the case, but this is the difference between somebody doing a job and somebody being really, really good at their job. If you are really good at your job and it is sort of your calling, you make it look easy. It looks like it's one and the same. So Terry may have been a hooker in her past life. She still gives it up for free whenever the occasion calls for it. But the skill set that she has, I believe we would call those soft skills now or transferable skills now. She understands not only the art of seduction, but she knows how to read a man, powerful, a broke man, a coked out man, a doctor man with shoe polish colored hair who we love. Rest in peace, Dr. Cousins. She knows what makes a man tick. So Chase and the whole entire Tuscany police squad are listening in a Scooby-Doo van to Terry still falling apart, still not landing the deal. She approaches Costello with, okay, I'm gonna set the card table up over here. We're gonna gamble over here this way. All you gotta do is sign on the dotted line, homeboy. You just gotta get this rolled in, blah, blah, blah. Costello is not a dumb man. He's a powerful man, and he's been in this position of power for a long time by being careful. So what he does is pretends like he's not interested. I don't think I can do this, Terry. This just ain't for me. Terry sees that this man is not going to respond to the power of her new wealth. He doesn't enjoy her brain. He doesn't enjoy her plan. So what does she do? She flips a switch. She pretends to be desperate. She says, hey, look, Costello, I'm in over my head here. If I don't have this deal, I'm going to lose my shirt. I'm going to lose my house. I need this town to take me seriously. And I'm at my wit's end. I really need your help. Could you please help me? So now he feels powerful, you see? Now he's a little more open. This isn't a shrewd businesswoman. This is a woman who's desperate, which means I got her right where I want her. So he's like, well, yeah, I'd be willing to help you with that. For a little something, something. Eye wiggle, twinkly, twinkly, twinkly. They end up kissing. They agree that she's going to collect some money. They're going to meet at a non-disclosed place, way out in the open so that everything looks real clean. Then she's going to give him the cash. Things are going to go well. Now, Chase is listening from the van and he's not taking this well. He's pissed off. He wants to go jump and run off in there and blow up the whole spot. This is where the sheriff has to remind him. He says, sir, you are sitting in this very high-tech Scooby-Doo van listening on a listening device while your sister-in-law is wired up for a reason. We need to be stealthy. We got to be smooth with this. And lest you forget, you ain't the sheriff around here. I don't care what you do in the air. You are the aviator Adonis in the air. I am Sheriff of Nottingham on the ground, homeboy. We have to do this a legal way. And right now, you can't just go bursting in the door acting a fool. Chase is appalled. How dare you? I thought I was part of the team. No, you're not. So flash forward to a little bit later in the episode. Terry shows up in a very interesting outfit. On the outside, totally 80s, totally normal. Stark white pantsuit with a matching sort of windbreaker jacket. Obviously, it has shoulder pads, but it's also got little splashes of gold. She's dressed in all white like she's some sort of angel, very innocent. Let me play this up. I don't really want to hurt you. I'm a desperate woman, but she's still sassy and sexy because she's wearing her hair down. It's teased up all high, and she's wearing this brass necklace. Now, to the naked eye, it might just look like a cuffed necklace, but to the kinkier sorts, I think, she's also sending a signal. It also looks like two hands wrapped gently around her neck. So when Costello sees her, she looks normal, but she's sending off the message like, hey, we can still figure out something very private and very kinky if you're into that, which he totally seems to be. So Chase, I guess, is really miffed that he was not considered part of the team, that the sheriff reminded him that he ain't no damn sheriff. He is not the law. He simply sits on a council and makes glorified grape juice. I am exaggerating a little bit. So Chase wants to make sure he fits in this time. So the entire Tuscany Valley Police Department is hiding out across the street from Terry. Terry and the judge are just kind of hanging outside at this open air place. Chase and the gang are in a sunglass hut across the street with all the spyware equipment. I don't know where this county gets their budget from. They got binoculars, they're listening to the wire. But he made sure to dress up to look like them because he wants to look like he's part of the team. So he has, while the sheriffs are dressed in brown, he's got on a blue shirt, but with like a brown vest, so that the naked eye, if you're not really paying attention, you just look over and see, oh, he's part of the gang. No, he's not. And you know, Chase, he had to leave 17 buttons undone, chest open, aviators on. Terry walks out with a suitcase full of money, like she's on Let's Make a Deal. Okay, girl, you got the cash? Yeah, I got the cash. Well, what's in it for me? Well, you give me the cash and I'll make sure to raise a motion. And before you know it, you'll have your entire illegal gambling situation set all the way up. All right, sounds good to me. Do you want to count the money out in the open in front of a God and everybody? Yeah, I think I will. Right before he has the opportunity to do that, Chase and the sheriff department come running from across the street. And I cackled when I saw this scene because it's one of those where there's obviously there's a road, there's a sidewalk, but the building that Chase and the cops are in, it looks like you had to go up 3 or 4 stairs. So there's like a raised flower bed. So if you're going from the street up to the sunglass hut, you're walking upstairs, boom, 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 no big deal. But if you're running out of the sunglass hut, you have to go down the stairs, or you can run off of the raised flower bed thing. I would have rolled my ankle 6 times in this scene. But Falcon Crest, remember that they used to be an action adventure, and they make sure that a couple of the cops are really agile. They jump over all the things, boom, bam, boom. Put Mr. Costello in handcuffs. Chase makes a funny little quip about him no longer being a councilman. He walking out there like he really is a cop. Is this or is this not entrapment? It's entrapment, right? Tuscany Valley, it's not. So Chase is feeling extra strong. He feel like he's that dude. He's walking extra tall. He's walking around like he's got Thor's hammer in his hand. He is feeling himself. So much so that he can't wait to get back to the other councilmen to drop this news that Costello was a creep. So we need to look into all the creepy things that he did. And I think everything he did should be null and void. Well, because they have to speak legalese this time, they have to go through the proper motions. A council meeting is called, and the entire town shows up, including Angela Channing, who's like, damn, she already know what's up. Looking at her nephew, who is just gloating. Chase is cheesing. He's feeling like that dude. One of the other councilmen announces to the town that, like, listen, Costello was a creep, so now we have to kind of look into all the things he did. Looks like he was taking bribes, so we might need to undo a couple of things. Chase is being very petty, and right as he's being petty, Maggie is petty. Maggie comes sauntering into the courtroom in this super bright yellow jacket thingamabob dress thing. In my head, Angela looks her up and down and says, chick, is that chartreuse? Are you really raiding my closet now? Angela's been wearing yellow this whole episode. Falcon Crest is really good about that, where like they'll pick one color and each one of the women gets to wear it in a scene or two. So Maggie comes sauntering in looking like Big Bird, like, excuse me, hey, Auntie. I just came to see my baby at work. He told me it was going to be a fun day. He had a couple of announcements to make. Oh, by the way, I got the invitation to your little engagement party, Auntie. And if you think this neon yellow is offensive, you wait till you see what I show up to your party. And I'm going to stunt. I'm going to shut the whole thing down. Angela's like, yeah. You do that, soft boiled. Well, Chase, still gloating, begins to make a proclamation. We are an honest council and we're going to have to do things honestly. So I think since one of our dudes was dirty and he wasn't honest, I think we should undo the last thing he did, which I do believe was a deal he made with my auntie. Y'all know the bald headed one? The one who looked like she got a kitty perm and a whole lot of oil sheen on today. She thinks she cute. Yeah. I think we should probably undo that because that could have been a dirty situation. Unless, of course, my bald headed auntie wants to give up a large portion of her land. Angela is smirking this whole time, like, okay, Chase, that's cute. That's cute. Chase, the little part of my property that I made a deal for was minuscule. A woman like me understands that you don't understand how much money I have. That was nothing to me. That was chump change. Chase is like, okay, cool. Well, maybe you wouldn't mind just volunteering to give that over to the rest of the county. So basically, I'm flubbing this up a little bit. Angela wanted the river rerouted so that they could put a dam there and start an irrigation system for the entire valley, but it would flood out Chase's valley, flood out Chase's vineyard. Chase is saying, well, since part of that river runs on your property, why don't we just reroute it from your property to irrigate the entire county? And why don't you make sure it's free since the dirt dude and you were working together and now it looks funny? Angela responds basically by saying, Chase, if you broke, just say that. And I'm happy to give it to you for free. Your auntie will give you a little minuscule, tiny drop in the bucket, insignificant piece of my property because I got it like that. I'm wealthy. The entire courtroom erupts with laughter and joy and clapping. Yay! Water for all. It's very weird considering they're not all vineyard owners. But either way, it's a win. A win is a win. Chase is feeling himself. That's the only thing you need to remember. Chase is feeling himself. Angela has been outdone. They both did their jobs illegally. Angela convinced one of the councilmen she was shrewd and got a deal made. Chase convinced the sheriff to set up this dude, got a deal made. Boom, boom, boom. Who's the winner? It would appear to be Chase. But like I said, Angela Channing is throwing a garden party. One little piece before we get to this final scene. Angela is in her car. This is in between her suing Lance and Richard and between her being exposed or not really being exposed, Costello being exposed at the council meeting. So she's on her way to wherever she's going in her little buttercream colored Mercedes two-seater when all of a sudden, pop, she gets a flat tire. She's swerving on the road. Oh, this is terrible. She doesn't have a car phone. It's 1986. She's still low tech. She don't want all that. She don't want all that electricity in the car. Something an old lady would say. But as happenstance would have it, Captain Planet and Emma pull up in that big monstrosity of a truck. Angela just rolls her eyes like, oh my God, here we go. Emma jumps out in this white jumpsuit, sunglasses. Clearly, I think she's been on the devil's cabbage a little bit. Captain Planet hops out and he's like, oh my gosh, your tire's bad. Do you need me to fix it? Angela's like, yeah. Look in my trunk. All the things are in there. Well, they're not. Only the jack that is used the jack that is used to jack up the car is missing. And Captain Planet makes Angela aware of this. Angela says, that's impossible. This is a brand new car. Emma's like, oh, Mama, I'm sorry. I took that out to prop open that window in my room. I needed a breeze. I would have cussed Emma out for wasting my good air-conditioned air. Angela's an old lady. I'm surprised she didn't say anything. Before they can get into it, though, Captain Planet steps in and he's like, don't worry, Mr. Channing. I'll make sure that your car is fixed. Emma, can you change a tire? She's in all white. I would have been like, no. But she says, yeah, I can change a tire. He goes, okay, cool. This man gets behind Angela's car, butt to trunk. Okay, so his back is to the trunk, butt to the trunk. He squats down in his Bugle Boy jeans, lifts up the mother loving car. There's not a jack in the car. He becomes a human jack. He becomes Captain Planet, lifts up this Mercedes Benz and holds it while Emma changes the tire. Now, Angela is rolling her eyes and she's annoyed and disgusted, but I can also tell she's kind of into it, like, oh my God. She looks him up and down like, my God, today. It makes sense now why Emma is running to and from aerobics class trying to keep up her stamina for her young new stud. All right, let's go to the party. The party is underway and the entire valley is there and they are dressed to the nines. Maggie steals some gold lame from Terry's closet and she shows up looking like a can of caffeine-free Coca-Cola Circle 1993. She is shimmery, she is shining. She's there. She wants to be seen. Angela looks lovely, as does everyone else. They're making the simple introductions. Boom, boom, dee, boom. Even cousin Robin has managed to attend this here party. Pastor Penny Droppers is there, and Melissa's there, dressed like Carmen in the hip hopper. She's got on a red dress. She saunters up to Pastor Penny Droppers just to make sure he sees, okay, this is what I look like in my garden party wear. Angela sees this. She goes over to cuss out Melissa, like, listen, I see how you looking at my grandson. Don't even think about it, wench. I'll turn you into tofu like that. Melissa's like, okay, girl, I'm real scared. Go on and get to your marriage number 16, please. You almost got as many marriages as I do. Cousin Robin looks adorable with her baby bump and her shiny dress, and she's eating all the Swedish meatballs because she didn't really have nowhere to sit. Angela comes over to make her feel more comfortable. Robin, I'm so glad you showed up. Are you having a good time? Robin's like, yeah, I'm having a great time. Do you think you can introduce me to some of your rich friends? Not pregnant, wench. Angela quickly says, no, or we'll see, something like that, or not now. Basically, no, I won't be doing that, but that's cute that you think so. So, once everyone has sat down and they settled down and the meatballs are keeping everybody satiated while the meal is being prepared, the champagne is flowing freely, it is time for the bride and groom to thank everyone for attending their party. Angela makes sure that the sound system is paid for and plugged in. Microphone is on. She's going to give an American Idol worthy performance. I just want to thank all of you for coming to help me and Peter celebrate our brand new union. This is such a wonderful occasion, and I'm so grateful to share it with all of you here today. Side note, funny enough, earlier in the episode when they were going over the guest list, Angela specifically only wanted to invite her enemies. She only invited people she was sure that were going to hate on her at some point. So thank you for showing up. And I especially want to thank Robin Agretti. She is a beautiful, brave young woman about to face motherhood solo dolo because she ain't married. She's an unwed mother. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's equally important that we toast her and the baby's father, my nephew's son, Cole Giaberti, who was married to her cousin. She doesn't say all that, but she definitely says we need to toast the baby's daddy, Cole Giaberti. Melissa is appalled. Pastor Panty Droppers is shocked. The rest of the patrons are probably giddy, like, oh my God, this is why I come to these parties. She's got the best food, the freshest champagne, and she always gonna blow up somebody's spot. So I take that back. If I got an invitation to an Angela Channing garden party, I'm absolutely coming, so long as I hadn't pissed her off recently. And Angela stands on stage with a really large microphone, swinging it around like a you-know-what. She's letting the whole cast know who runs things, who's walking around with the heavy load, if you know what I'm saying. End scene. Bum, bum, bum. I forgot that nobody really is even questioning who Robin's baby daddy is because she's just kind of been in the house. I forgot that Cole and Maggie didn't know that. But now the entire valley knows. So this is going to be interesting to see. Is Cole gonna out Melissa and be like, my wife told me to sleep with her cousin because we needed a baby. Or I don't even know what. I don't even know how you would shimmy and shank out of this. It's an interesting tale. I guess we'll just have to find out on the next episode. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you had a blast. I certainly enjoyed myself. Go back and watch this episode. Let me know what you think of Captain Planet. Especially you 90s kids. You know who I'm talking about. It's weird. He had one of the best jingles ever of all time. I'm not going to go there today, but it was Captain Planet. He's a hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero. Remember, if you have any thoughts or opinions you want to share with me, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out if you're listening on your mobile device. Check the show notes for the link to text. You can text or you can leave a voice note. I think you get 1:30 seconds, so feel free to use that to your heart's content. Or if you want to write it all out, go ahead and send me an email at soaploorepodcast@gmail.com. That's soaploorepodcast@gmail.com. In the meantime, in between time, if you get an invitation in the mail to an annual Channing garden party, enter at your own risk. Do a thorough inventory of the last 12 months and make sure your spot is not in danger of being bleed up. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized, mind your own business, and keep all of your drama on TV.